Hey guys, how's it going? This is David from Nanotechs Australia. So I've got a special guest today. I've got Gavin from Aquarium.
Hello.
Hello. Yep. So today we're actually going to have a chat about the Easy Life range of fertilizers. The idea is that product knowledge is great, and we want to make sure that you guys get the best information possible for these products. And so we thought about doing it for the staff, but yeah, whatever. We thought that it might be better for the industry to work with this kind of products. And so I'm going to switch the cameras around, and Gavin here is going to teach about all the Easy Life products, and hopefully we can all learn something new. Hey bro, hey Charlie, how's it going? Alright, let's switch the cameras around. Okay, so Gav? Yep, so Gav's going to give us a great rundown on these products, and I'm sure the staff here, which is this guy and everyone else here, is going to be busy looking at it afterwards. So, start from the top?
Yep, let's start from the top.
Okay.
Alrighty. So the first product we're looking at would be Catappa X by Easy Life. This is, in simplest term, a black water extract. This is derived from Indian almond leaf. You'll actually know those names a little bit more than Catappa X. Catappa is basically the scientific name. Catappa leaves, essentially. That's what they refer to. What does this do? This is, in a very similar vein to something like Voogle, Catappa X aims to improve fish health in general. And it does that by using the extract from black water. It doesn't actually have the tannins in it, which is great because it doesn't stain the tank. But in general, you'll find it has an anti-parasitic effect, and it helps with overall maintaining fish health. Especially tends to be quite viable and quite, what's the word for it, effective in species that are a little more fragile. Things like your cardinals, for example, things that are susceptible to these little outbreaks.
Yep.
And as the guys at Nanotank will actually vouch for you, these guys were actually the ones who found out, it also has a really cool effect for coloration.
Yep.
We were finding with your shrimps, David, that after about 3 to 4 days,
that's right.
their colors start really popping.
That's right.
Really well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that in general is Catappa X. It's a really good little addition for maintaining fish health.
Yeah, that's right. And like, to my personal opinion, I actually vouch for this product quite heavily right now. So it doesn't stain your water brown. So if for those people who love that really nice crystal clear effect on your tank, this is really a good product to start with. Okay, let's swing over
so
to
the next
Blue
one
Exit.
would be Blue Exit. Now, Blue Exit is a algae control product from Easy Life. Unlike a lot of algae control products, this one is hyper targeted at one particular type of algae that can be particularly a bit of a pain to deal with, and that is cyanobacteria.
Yep.
Blue Exit is a slow but quite efficient killer of cyanobacteria. Typically, you do a dose of, I believe it is 10 mils to every 80 liter for the first 5 days. And then you follow it up by a weekly dose of the same concentration, 10 mils per 80 liter.
Yep.
I've had to use this one myself, unfortunately, and I can vouch for the fact that it does take a bit of time to really kick in. I tend to find 2 to 4 weeks. But once it does, it's a very stable remover of cyanobacteria.
Yep.
There are also general algae control products from Easy Life, but this particular one is, like I mentioned, targeted specifically at a very difficult to deal with strain.
Yeah. So I mean, sometimes a lot of us grab this product because we get cyanobacteria bloom in our tanks, where we can see a sheen of blue-green algae that's on the tanks, and if we try to use autocinklers or body suckers or any shrimps to try to eat through it, we notice that death is quite sudden, and so it is quite dangerous for fish to ingest it. So I think because of that, there's only 2 other things we can do, which is one physical removal, which is which is really recommended.
And it should be done in conjunction with Blue
That's
X
right,
as well.
exactly.
Absolutely.
So we can't really use this one straight off. We really do need to use it in conjunction with Blue Exit because otherwise it just won't work.
Yeah, and I tend to find the main reason I've used this in the past, and this is more from personal experience, is we can do a lot of physical cleaning for sure, but that becomes a bit of a trouble when, for example, I had that issue when I had a carpet of Glosso.
Yep.
And it became next to impossible to basically get all the cyano out in such a situation.
That's right. Other than removing it, you need to basically remove all the Glosso out as well.
Yeah.
And really start again from scratch.
Yeah. And one more side note with the Blue Exit, actually, you would have seen it on the label now. It is completely safe for shrimp, invertebrates, and mollusks of any kind.
Yep.
I've used this when I had that outbreak in Glossos. I've had Apistogrammas and Cardinals in the tank as well, and it had no adverse effects on them.
Cool.
So that's also really good.
Sounds good. So we're going to skip potassium. We're going to skip iron as well. And we're going to focus on these two next. So, would you like to explain the Easy Carbo?
Absolutely. So, Easy Carbo is relatively straightforward, but it's also quite effective. It is a liquid carbon option made by Easy Life. Now, there will be different recommendations for dose rates on Easy Carbo, but one of the reasons we really like it is the fact that it is a relatively slow release carbon as well. You'll read on the back, for example, that they typically recommend, I believe it is 1 mil for every 25 liters, but the dose rates or the dose frequency, so to speak, would be different depending on the concentration of plants in the tank. So if you have a low plant tank, you're looking at maybe 1 dose every week. If you have a medium plant tank, 2-3 doses every week. And then if you have a really heavy plant load, then it's a daily dosage.
Right. Yep.
And that's what sets it apart. Like a lot of carbon sources are very much you dose every 2 days regularly, regardless. Easy Life releases slow enough that if you're not using it all up within that week, you can do like a once per week dosage.
Yep.
And the main reason Easy Life pairs so well with the next product would be Profito. Now, Profito is a combined fertilizer. A lot of people usually refer to these as micro fertilizers, but they do have some elements of macro as well. Namely, Profito contains iron, potassium, and magnesium as the macros. Iron and potassium is relatively well known as a macro element, basically an element that a plant uses a lot of in fertilizer. Magnesium, not as much. It's more popular amongst the European companies, so to speak. So guys like JBL, for example, are also a big fan of using magnesium as a plant fertilizer. And Profito is one of those. It has those 3 macronutrients, and it has a whole cocktail of micro. And these two pair together so well because between the big building block that is liquid carbon and the macro-micro combination that is Profito, it's a very broad way of covering everything your plant needs with as few bottles as possible.
Sure. Okay. So just to sum up there, Gavin, is that if I was just a hobbyist that's really interested, just to start off with plants, I would grab the Easy Carbo, and also the Profito together, because with that one, that's a general view of getting the entire spectrum for plants in terms of their nutrients and all that. And if I actually have these two as my starter, or for someone who's a new hobbyist or something like that, then this will make the plants pop.
Exactly. Exactly.
And with only 2 bottles.
Absolutely. There are other macronutrients that are not found in these 2 bottles, particularly phosphates and nitrates, or not nitrogens. And you won't find that too readily around simply because an excess in these 2 elements can cause a bit of an algae issue. And they can be found in things like decaying plant material or leftover food in general. unless you have a extremely heavily planted tank, you often won't need to supplement with that.
Yep.
Now, if you do need more micronutrients, and we'll just go back and skim over this, but if
Yep.
you do need more micro, that's where the bottles of Ferro and Potassium came.
Okay. Yep.
So this is basically just a more concentrated form of all of those macronutrients, and you'll get these if you find something like Profito doesn't quite have enough of that for a heavier planted tank.
Yep. So for a general planted tank, Profito and Easy Carbo is the most essential components to your tank. But I guess what you're saying is that if you're looking for a more heavily planted tank, or tanks that is really much red, because I believe Ferro is red based.
Absolutely.
And potassium is part of the NPK component, so one of the macros. So do you want to just explain to people what, say, Ferro really does to plants?
Okay, so Ferro is basically iron, and it is one of the more key elements in not all plants, but in some. It helps prevent things like yellowing of plants.
Yep.
It's basically a transport molecule that helps plants move nutrients around the body. As David mentioned briefly, Ferro is particularly in high demand with plants that have, doesn't need to necessarily be red, but warmer colors in general. Things like your Telonthera, for example, is very obvious, very bright red. But other plants that also like a lot of Ferro is things like your Crips, for example, also respond quite well to Ferro. Any of the warmer color plants, Ferro is, iron in general is a little bit iffy in this and that, in the sense that some plants use it almost like a micronutrient and not a lot of it, but other plants will use it almost like a macro. It will consume quite a lot of Ferro.
Right. So if I actually walk over here to the tissue culture stocks that we have,
That's perfect.
so something like the Alternantia runicus, they really do need someone like the iron content. But a lot of these other ones. So for example, the Labella, or even the Pogo, or even the Ludwigia, they'll benefit from it as well. Yep.
And you'll also find, funnily enough, some strains of plants will start appearing a little bit different depending on how much iron you have in the environment. Families of the baby tears, for example, there will be some strains who will do fine with low iron content, but as soon as the iron content starts to rise, they start showing a little bit of a pink development on the leaf.
Okay. Sweet. Okay. And so if you were let's just recap with this three. So this is the basic building blocks, because everything needs carbon dioxide, or plants need carbon dioxide to survive. This one is great for the general shop plant keepers or general maintenance. But if you're starting to see a bit yellowing on the leaves or something like that, then we suggest you get the iron or the ferros. Okay, so what is the potassium for?
Okay, potassium, as David also very briefly mentioned, is one of the NPKs. For those of you who are not familiar, NPK stands for nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, because the elemental symbol is K. And those three are considered to be the most crucial macro elements, second only to carbon, for pretty much all plants. They are, the way I like to describe it to a lot of my lay customers or general fish keepers, is that if micronutrients like the ones you find in Profito are your vitamins, then NPK is your proteins, your carbohydrates, your fats, your crucial part of a plant's diet. Potassium in general is really important in the fact that it is the element that allows the plant to utilize other elements. I've had situations before, for example, where a nitrate buildup happens in a tank, and just because I was a bit careless at the time, and a potassium dose just drops it within a couple of hours.
Right, okay.
Because that's what the plant was short on. As soon as they had access to an element like that, they were able to utilize other elements around them and start really using them to grow.
Right. Okay. So looking at the bottle over here, it says high concentration of potassium, so prevents yellow tips of the leaves and prevent pinholes on the leaves. So we've had a lot of people even on Facebook groups and so forth saying, "Oh, boys, I've been doing everything correct. I've been doing my water changes. I've been doing all this, but I still see I've been dosing it with the NPKs. I've been and everything's going well, but I still see a lot of yellowing on the leaves and preventing pinholes on the leaves. And so from what you're saying, Gavin, is that when that happens, it's because that there's not enough potassium in the water. And when there's no potassium in the water, no matter how much nitrates is in the water, it can't pick it up.
Exactly, the plants can't utilize that.
Okay, yep.
Pinholes and yellowing leaves are a very clear symptom of a potassium deficiency.
Yep.
But the main issue with a potassium deficiency is, like we had a chat about, it's not so much what the element provides, it's more so the fact that the plant can't utilize other elements with a deficiency in potassium in play.
Sure, no problem. And so let's so I say that a lot of people, when they go for the easy Carbo and the Profito and they see a lot of uses out of it and so forth, it is only natural that you consider getting the Ferro and the Potassium at the later stage, because if you don't do that, you will eventually see the yellowing of the tips. You'll see that your nitrates will slowly climb back up, and when your nitrates climb back up and there's a lot of plants, it means that there's a lack of potassium. Is
Correct.
That what you're saying? Yep.
Correct. It also it could mean a few things, but that's definitely one of
the
very
components.
clear explanations, yes.
Great. Okay. Sounds good. And so I think that's a really good lesson, Gav. Thanks for coming around. I'm just going to switch the cameras around again. So Gav, thanks for coming around and just telling us, not telling only our shop, but also the industry on how these Easy Life products work. Hopefully that will be beneficial to everyone watching in Facebook or in YouTube. And if you guys got any questions and we can't answer it, of course we will give it to the people who can. And you guys are in safe hands, and hopefully you guys take another look at this Easy Life range. But there's actually one more product, isn't it?
There is.
Which is the Voogle.
Voogle. Voogle is a huge. These guys are a huge fan of Voogle. It is a immunobooster, completely natural. And what would you say? Like, why would you like it as much? Well, we find it's really good for fish that are a little bit on the delicate side.
Yep.
Again, your cardinals and such like that, who might be a bit stressed out during transport. Voogle is a really strong alternative to something like antibiotic treatment. It's a completely non-medicated product. It is a natural occurring product.
So you don't need APVMA approval, you don't need any of those rubbish type of approvals.
Exactly. And that's why Voogle's taken off really well recently. These guys have done a great job at promoting them as well. I know that David and his team here is a huge fan of that.
Yep. So I guess we are trying to not push it, but just letting you guys know, because I guess a video like this has never really been done before, and so hopefully you guys appreciate this kind of products, and that we try not to sell rubbish or substandard products. We do try to sell some of the best products in the industry, and I believe that the Easy Life range is one of those products that's in the top of the industry. So I think with that, is there anything else to add, Gav?
No, I think we pretty much covered it.
Okay, no worries. Well, if you guys would like or whatever, just share this video, and hopefully you guys have a great day. All right,
have a good one, guys.
Bye.